In the meantime, we got Leon Panetta here, the former CIA director, former U.S. Defense Secretary, White House Chief of Staff. Leon, obviously, Americans are very happy and pleased when hostages who were held for no reason are finally released, and there were some in there who were held for quite some time. I do wonder, though, about what you get for that, because some nefarious individuals, including, a hitman for no less than Vladimir Putin, the Germans gave up because that and he was part of the deal. So all in all, what do you think of this huge swap?
Well, it's all a form of blackmail, and the Russians pick up these people, make false charges against them, throw them in prison, and basically use them then as pawns to try to get back people that they want. I'm sure the linchpin here was getting Krasikov back. Krasikov is an assassin for the Russians. He was under a life sentence in Germany. I think once they were able to get Germany to be able to provide Krasikov, I think that probably was a linchpin that then opened it up to the ability to get these others back. I mean, obviously, we're pleased that we're able to get Evan Gersovich back, as well as Paul Whelan and the other dissidents. But in the end, the problem is that this then creates an incentive down the road for them to basically pick up more people in order to get the people back that they want. It's not a very comforting process.
And it works for, despots and the like, and countries with other interests, financial and otherwise. Now, we don't know if any money was exchanged here. Maybe those are the kind of details that come out much later. But again, it does embolden someone like a Vladimir Putin to actually celebrate the moment, as he did, as you saw, greeting some of these hostages who were coming off the plane and trying to capitalize on that. How does that go down in Russia? For the Russians who see this, are they then interpreting this as a victory?
It's a big deal for the Russians. It's a big deal for Putin. Putin considers Krasikov a patriot because he did the bidding for the KGB and did the bidding for Russia. And the ability to get him back in Putin's mind, and let's not forget Putin comes from a KGB background. In his mind, getting somebody like that back basically sends a message to others that Russia will do everything they can to get back those who do their bidding. And so I think Putin considers this to be a success without question.
Leon, I'm just curious about the timing of this plea deal the United States government apparently made with the three defendants who were accused of plotting the September 11th attacks, including Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. Of course, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was the guy who came up with the idea, we're told, to Osama bin Laden at the time, to use commercial jets to attack a U.S. interest. That being said, all three avoid the death sentence, will spend their life in prison. And then a little more than 18 hours later, we get this news. Are they linked?
Yeah, and look, Sheikh Mohammed was one of the architects of the 9/11 attack. Frankly, all of them deserve the death penalty based on what they did and the thousands who were killed as a result of their involvement in 9/11. They deserve the same sentence, frankly, that bin Laden got. But, I don't know the background here. I'm sure there were some complications involved in the trial and going back to some of the waterboarding and torture that probably went on with some of these individuals. It created some issues for the trial. But in the end, at least from my perspective, all three of them deserve the death penalty.
Well, they didn't get it, and it does beg the question, and maybe it's because of the timing of this huge, hostage swap, the biggest we've seen since the Cold War, that maybe they're bargaining chits down the road, that they could actually be released as part of a future type of a hostage deal. What do you think?
Well, you never know. I think, they were not spies for Russia. They were not agents for Russia. So I'm not sure whether Putin would necessarily engage in some kind of bargaining in order to get them back for some reason. So
well, I'm sorry I wasn't clear, Leon.
I don't see that. I don't see that happening.
I should have been clear to you, because the other issue I had is maybe any Middle Eastern country that would welcome them back in one way, shape, or form, and might come up with an idea. We can seize Americans, and look what happens when we do.
No, there's no question. Depending on obviously what the final deal here is, I would assume they would put them in prison for life and still maintain them incarcerated for what they did. But once they're around, obviously some of these terrorist groups will look at it as an opportunity to be able to see if they can develop a bargain for the future. There's no question that they'll be used as hostages.
In the meantime, we got word, of course, in Israel of another Hamas big kingpin who was actually taken out a couple of weeks ago, on top of Hamas and Hezbollah top officials who were taken out just a couple of days ago. And all parties involved, including Iran and representatives from Hamas and Hezbollah, who are threatening a response, but coy in exactly what kind of response that would be. Where do you think this is going?
Well, look, first of all, I think Israel did well in targeting these individuals. One was a leader in Hezbollah. The other was one of the leaders of Hamas. I think one of the things we've been urging Israel to do is engage in more direct targeting as opposed to, the kind of broad war that's been going on in Gaza. Having said that, obviously, it raises the implication that both Hezbollah and Iran will try to retaliate for what Israel did. Now, I think that the likelihood is that there probably is less of an incentive for Iran to do it. Iran doesn't necessarily want to get into a full-scale war with Israel or the United States. But I think the danger is Hezbollah. Hezbollah has a lot of missiles at their disposal. They're the ones that basically initiated these attacks on Israel. So I worry more about Hezbollah seeking retaliation and then producing a wider war between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon.
Leon Panetta, thank you very much. A lot of breaking news to cover with you. I do appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.